Good evening, I'm Jesse Thomas. Thanks for tuning in. This is CTV News at 6. Making news tonight, water worries. Drought-like conditions put some wells to the test. As the Miramichi area fire grows, province puts restrictions on some forest activities.
Hot August days ahead without much chance of rain this weekend and early next week.
Live from our Maritime's News Center, this is CTV News at 6. Here is Jesse Thomas.
Good evening. As the hot, dry weather persists, there's a new way to secure drinking water and a shower for those who need it. Joining us now with more on this measure from Porters Lake Provincial Park is CTV's Stephanie Sikos. Steph, tell us about this new option.
Nova Scotia Parks is offering access to water at 7 of its sites across the province for people experiencing a water shortage. Bottle after bottle, Nova Scotians in need of water are taking advantage. Every day from 1:30 to 3:30 p.m., Nova Scotia Parks is offering access to showers and drinking water at 7 of its parks, including Blomidon, Ellenwood Lake, Graves Island, Porters Lake, Rizzers Beach, the Islands, and Valley View. It's to support residents dealing with water shortages. At this time, Halifax Regional Municipality is not supplying water, saying the municipality is aware that due to current weather conditions, some residents with private wells may experience low water levels. Providing water to private dwellings during low water levels is not a service provided by the municipality, except in cases of widespread emergency events impacting water supply. As for what to do if your well runs dry, the Nova Scotia government says avoid filling it with water from other sources. Safely lower the well intake valve to access more water if you are able to, and stop using the well and let it refill over time if you can. For those who live in a home or work in a building serviced by Halifax Water, the utility is requesting people follow voluntary conservation measures. Today, Cumberland County Water Utility is now asking the same of its customers in Spring Hill, Parsboro, and Pugwash. While measures are currently voluntary, that could change. In a statement to CTV News, Halifax Water says there are a number of factors in predicting when further restrictions will need to be considered. Precipitation, evaporation from continued heat, uptick in usage, conservation measures from our customers, and continued repairs of leaks in our system. Halifax Water says it's too early to know the impacts of the voluntary measures, which have only been in place since Tuesday. It says it will know more after a full week, which will give more people time to adjust their water use habits. Jesse.
Okay, Steph Seco is reporting from Porters Lake. Now, meanwhile, there are new restrictions coming to the woods in New Brunswick due to the increased wildfire risk. CTV's Nick Moore has those details, along with an update on the fire burning near Miramichi.
The risk of a wildfire in New Brunswick over the coming days will be extreme, especially tomorrow, Saturday, when the wind is expected to pick up. Beginning at midnight, restrictions on some operations within the forestry sector will be in place until at least the middle of next week.
Right now, it's mostly the harvest operations, thinning operations, things with mechanical units that could spark a fire.
A provincial burn ban is already in effect. The wildfire burning near Miramichi has grown to about 65 hectares. Water bombers were back in the air today with additional firefighters on the ground. At this time, no homes are threatened by the fire, but officials say the next few hours will be critical. There is no ban right now in New Brunswick, such as the one in Nova Scotia, prohibiting people from being in the woods.
Nova Scotia is in a bit of a different situation than we are actually right now. Their conditions have been going on for a lot longer than ours.
But even without a ban here, there is an advisory.
We're asking people, if you don't need to be in the woods, stay out until we get some rain.
Which does not appear in any great quantity for the next several days. Nick Moore, CTV News, Fredericton.
And we have an update from New Brunswick's Department of Natural Resources. A section of Highway 8 near Miramichi is closed between Route 450 and Oldfield Road, along with Russellville Road and McCarty Road. They're closed and traffic is being diverted because of that out-of-control fire there. In Nova Scotia, residents, of course, aren't the only ones being asked to scale back on water use. Businesses are also taking on this request, as CTV's Vanessa Wright reports. it's a unique challenge for some establishments that rely on water.
A sunny day in the city sent people flocking to this splash pad in Hammonds Plains. They're just one business who is thankful they don't have to depend on well water to keep things afloat.
Because we are inflatables on the water, we don't actually need to use any water. The only water we do use is stuff we pull up with buckets, and we just splash it down the sides. It goes right back in it.
Since Tuesday, Halifax Water has encouraged people to cut back on water use as the province continues to battle dry conditions. With no significant rain in the forecast, the utility says water levels will drop. And while reducing shower times may be a simple adjustment for residents, it puts businesses that rely on water in a tricky situation.
We rely heavily on water day to day. As you can see, we have a lot of plants in the background here, so they're watered once a week depending on the plants.
Which means this Dartmouth flower shop is taking precautions.
We can make sure that the plants are kept in the cooler at night, which they use a lot less water than if they're out in the heat, because as soon as they're out in the heat, they need a lot of water in order to maintain the turgor, or what we would call the firmness of the plant.
Now at this point, conserving water is still voluntary, but with unprecedented dry conditions in the region, that could change. Back at the flower shop, they aren't worried just yet and already practice water conservation.
We're not going to stand there with the tap running. We're just basically going to make sure that there's a container under at all times, because as long as there's a container under it, then we still have the water, so we can use it for something else.
A tough task for some businesses as they weather these dry conditions. Vanessa Wright, CTV News, Dartmouth.
And this topic brings us to the weekend web poll. We're asking you, the viewer, are you changing your summer plans due to the woods and fire bans? The options: yes, no, or there aren't any bans where I live. You can always find our web poll on our website, ctvnewsatlantic.ca. All right, let's take a live look at St. John now, where it's still 21 degrees. Let's get our first look at the weather. For that, we go to CTV meteorologist Kaylin Mitchell. Hey, Kaylin.
Well, St. John, of course, being on the Bay of Fundy coastline, has a more moderate temperature this evening, but many other parts of the Maritimes away from the coast. It is a hot evening, including up and around the Miramichi area. Particularly challenging conditions for fighting that wildfire north of Miramichi for today, as the temperature rose to 30 degrees, but the relative humidity dipped below 30%. So that's very hot, very dry conditions. As we heard, the winds are expected to pick up a little bit in the forecast as we move through tonight and tomorrow. Here's an outlook into the winds around the Miramichi area continuing through tonight into the first part of Saturday. You can actually see the sustained winds, which is the lower number, come up close to 10 kilometers per hour late tonight, and then are sustained around that all the way into tomorrow morning before picking up between 15 and 20 kilometers per hour early tomorrow afternoon. At that point in time as well, it may be accompanied by some gusts between 20 and 30 kilometers per hour. There is, of course, a very high to extreme fire danger risk right now pretty much across the entirety of the Maritime region, including extreme up around Miramichi and for larger areas of Nova Scotia. On satellite, a lot of thin, high wildfire smoke present, but as we zoom in towards Miramichi area, just over the last couple of hours, you can actually see some of the smoke being produced by that wildfire north of Miramichi showing up here in through the grays. So that's the situation. We're keeping tabs on, of course, and I'll have more on the extended forecast, Jesse, which doesn't feature a lot of rain coming up later on.
Okay, great. Thanks for that, Kalen. We'll see you back here in around 15 minutes' time for that full forecast. And now a Miramichi-based company that manufactures wood panels for construction is eliminating 29 jobs and is shutting down its mill for at least 6 weeks due to tariffs imposed by the United States. In a news release sent this week, Arbeck Forest Products announced the shutdown of its mill will take place in September, and it'll impact 113 workers. The company says the pause in production will allow them to rebalance inventories and find additional markets. Arbeck manufacturers products mainly are used in home construction in both the U.S. and Canadian markets. Their panels are used for wall sheathing, roofing, and structural issues on floors. All right. Statistics Canada has released updated unemployment numbers for July, and with it comes more job losses. Young workers and the private sector bore the brunt of these losses. CTV's Emma Convey has more on the story.
Liam Coulter Colbin is a high school student in Halifax. This is the first year he's gotten a summer job with his older brother's drywall company.
I do feel very fortunate because then I have money for the summer. I can go spend stuff, which is a lot easier.
Liam says he'd rather work than sit around doing nothing all summer. Many students with the same mindset haven't been as lucky.
Youth unemployment rate is 14.6. Those youth that are job seekers, just a little over half of them have gained employment for the summer.
Stats Canada found for young Canadians, there were 34,000 positions lost last month, with the employment rate now at 53.6%, the lowest for this group since 1998. Other than during the pandemic.
That number speaks to what I hear around my peers, and I know people who don't have a job. It's unfortunate to hear.
The amount of entry-level jobs are reducing. COVID really expedited the amount of entry-level job reduction.
It's nerve-wracking. Between my partner and myself, we have 5 kids in universities, and we think we may be housing them forever.
I'm not really looking for a job, but maybe next year I'll be scared.
Concerns aren't just with youth, but adults as well. Stats Canada says employment was down across several industries in July, with 41,000 jobs lost. Canada's unemployment rate remains at 6.9%, while PEI's is 8.8%, which is up 0.2%. New Brunswick's is 7.5%. And in Nova Scotia, it's 7%.
The main thing that we're concerned about from a career perspective is that long-term unemployed number. That is increasing. I think it was up year to year 24%.
If you don't have an income coming in, I find that you wouldn't be able to live.
Experts insist people don't give up. Advice is to keep submitting resumes, meet employers in person, and seek out career programs. Emma Convey, CTV News, Halifax.
Get the Maritime's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Anyone following Halifax Council, it's safe to say there's been some divisive issues there, with some councillors at odds over some significant decisions. But what's the difference between a healthy democracy with varying opinions and a dysfunctional group? A former municipal councillor and mayor says change is needed. Callum Smith has more.
Gloria McCluskey's 23-and-a-half-year political career included serving as the last mayor of Dartmouth. She still follows each level of government closely and watches every municipal council meeting.
This is the most dysfunctional council that I've ever seen, and I served on a few of them.
She says people should be paying attention to what's happening at Halifax City Hall.
People should care because it's costing us a lot of money to keep them there, number one. Number two, they're in charge of whatever happens in this municipality.
Last month, Mayor Andy Fillmore wrote to Municipal Affairs Minister John Lohr, saying a sobering conclusion has emerged 9 months into Council's mandate. Quote, in our current governance model, the disconnection between democratic choice at the ballot box and decision-making at City Hall is hindering rather than helping delivery of the priorities for which Halifax residents voted. The longtime politician previously said he didn't fully understand the barriers to fulfilling his mandate.
Democracy is messy. It takes a while to get to a decision. So I find it surprising that he did not understand the role of mayor.
But Janet Steele says council is operating fairly well and has had some achievements, such as a flat tax rate and eventually getting the Windsor Street Exchange project moving forward. Earlier this week, Fillmore said council is...
We're a work in progress. I think we're figuring our working together out.
That was following a contentious rescission of council's Morris Street bike lane plan after initially deciding to go one-way traffic and two-way bike lanes, a move Fillmore opposed and one that was threatened to be overturned by the province, at a time when there's been talk about giving Fillmore so-called strong mayor powers.
We want people at all levels of government to have the tools necessary to properly govern, and it's a discussion that's happening for sure, but there's no more movement than the discussion.
One councillor says if strong mayor powers were discussed on the campaign trail, she wouldn't have put her name on the ballot box. But Kathy Daigle-Gammon agrees with Fillmore ironing out council's kinks is a work in progress.
It has been bumpier. We need to be honest about that, and everybody that's looking at it can see the bumps. I think councillors and the mayor feel them a little bit more. Sometimes we're storming and forming all at the same time.
But Daigle-Gammon is confident council will evolve and things will improve. A couple points worth noting. It is still early in this council's term. They were only elected in October 2024. As well, strong mayor powers, if or when implemented, will certainly change the dynamic here at City Hall. But for now, the next council meeting is set for August 19th. Jesse.
Callum Smith reporting from outside City Hall. Thank you. Now, it's a unique tourist attraction for a unique time. The Roosevelt Cottage on New Brunswick's Campobello Island is part of a sprawling seaside park celebrating the close bond between Canada and the United States. So how is that going this year? CTV's Nick Moore has this report from the island.
A historic friendship between Canada and the United States serves as the foundation for this iconic red cottage on Campobello Island, New Brunswick.
And as the only truly jointly owned and operated international park in the world, we're proud to still represent that mission despite the current political disagreements.
Roosevelt Campobello International Park celebrates a vacation home of U.S. President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who would summer on the Canadian island near the U.S. state of Maine during the early part of the last century. The park is dedicated not only to the Roosevelt family, but also to countries with ties that run deep. Park Superintendent John Southern says a new trail this summer is timely.
Its real name in Passamaquoddy is Witabac Galney Out, which means Friendship Trail in Passamaquoddy. We'd actually thought of the name Friendship Trail prior to all of the political issues between America and Canada with the tariffs, etc. Because the park represents friendship, the friendship, unity.
Debuting in a year where modern-day politics has many reflecting on friendlier relations. The Roosevelt name remains a big draw for Americans who have traditionally made up the bulk of visitors here.
I feel that this is a really iconic place. I also love Canada.
Well, we've seen flyers about it. Look like a beautiful island. It's very historical.
We came here because we understood how beautiful it was. Also to visit Canada because it's our wonderful neighbor to the north, and we wanted to come and see all the people.
It's happy that you're sharing this with us today.
The number of Canadian visitors here is also getting bigger, going from about 13% of the park's total visitation before the pandemic to now about 35%.
Those numbers have kept up, but what we've seen this year is a particular increase in Canadian French-speaking visitors.
The Red Cottage is open for tours until mid-October, and while it is unclear where the trade war will stand by then, the park is doubling down on its international mission.
It's particularly important now more than ever to get across that this park represents that enduring friendship.
Nick Moore, CTV News, Campobello Island, New Brunswick.
Still ahead, Kaylin's back with another hot and dry forecast for the weekend, but next, more air options are coming to connect maritime travelers. We'll take you to PEI for that story next. Stay with us. And all three maritime provinces were represented today at the Charlottetown International Airport for an announcement on air travel in our region. CTV's Derek Haggett made the trip to the island and joins us now for an update. Hey, Derek.
Jesse, Premiers Tim Houston and Rob Lance were here today. Susan Holt's government was represented by the Environment Minister, Gilles Lepage. They were here today to announce a partnership between the federal government and PAL Airlines that will enhance regional air access between the three provinces. The maritime governments and Ottawa are spending more than $9 million on a 3-year pilot project that will offer daily flights to and from major cities in the region. The project, also funded by the region's airports, will see PAL Airlines provide daily connections between Halifax, Sydney, Charlottetown, Fredericton, and Moncton for the next 3 years.
The Council of Atlantic Premiers initiated this, created a working group to try to restore regional air access. We've seen a lot of collaboration across the country on a number of initiatives. This is one right here in Atlantic Canada that we can be proud of.
It's a big deal to connect. I mean, maritime provinces are so closely connected anyway with traditions and values and family connections and just business connections. So being able to move between the provinces, it's a really big deal.
Premier Houston says details are being worked out on when the first flight will take place. The Atlantic Canada's Airports Association called today's announcement a significant step towards stronger air connections across the Maritimes and is hopeful it will boost tourism throughout the region. Derek Haggett, CTV News, Charlottetown.
And still to come, it's been wall-to-wall sunshine right across the Maritimes, and the hot and dry conditions aren't letting up. Kalen will return with his full forecast and give you all those details when we return. All right, look at this spectacular bird's eye view. This gives us an idea really of how dry it is in Newfoundland, Kalen. This is a shot thanks to our friends at Cloud Cam Aerials. This is Hidden Falls and Sheaves Cove in western Newfoundland. This shot was taken on Wednesday. It's also extremely dry there.
Yeah. Areas Newfoundland kind of got into some drought and some wildfire issues even a little bit earlier than parts of the Maritimes did. So, I mean, it just goes to show it hasn't been an issue restricted just to Nova Scotia, the Maritimes in general, and really large parts of Atlantic Canada.
Yeah, not just my backyard lawn either, which I guess I won't have to cut for the rest of the year. But
seems that way, doesn't it? Not much help as far as rain goes in the forecast. We'll get back to that in a moment. Let's take a quick update, though, on how things are developing in the Atlantic as far as potential for tropical storms go. Only a low potential really right now out of the 2 areas being watched. Really low potential for that location just to the south of us. I mean, basically none now. 10% chance over the next 7 days. And then the area that's out more towards the central Atlantic, a little bit of a higher chance of development there. 50% chance over the next 7 days. But you can see on that path as well, it's likely to take a recurve up towards the North Atlantic before getting anywhere close to us here in the Maritimes. So no imminent risks when it comes to tropical weather for our region. Conditions across the country right now, we've got low 20s and around the south coast of BC, 21 at Prince George. Temperatures cooling through areas of the prairies. There are issues, though, with air quality and even a risk of some severe thunderstorms this afternoon for parts of Saskatchewan. Heat, that is all out in the east right now. 30 at Ottawa and Montreal, 29 at Fredericton this hour, 25 at Halifax, and 27 at Charlottetown. Newfoundland and Labrador, quite warm to hot. St. John's, 22 degrees in Labrador. Happy Valley, Goose Bay, 31, and Labrador City sitting at 27. Thin high haze of wildfire smoke above the Maritimes for tonight, but shouldn't be impacting air quality. Aside from that, fairly clear conditions, except for a little bit of high cloud cover that skirts by the southwest of Nova Scotia. And tomorrow's weather, very similar to today. So some of that thin high haze will be present. Otherwise, it's going to be hot and dry, looking at fairly clear conditions Saturday evening and night. And Sunday looks like a repeat, more hot and dry weather for the region. Taking a look at winds in the forecast, they'll be out of the southwest for both tonight and for tomorrow. They do pick up a little bit on Saturday compared to today, becoming a little bit breezier, sustained 10 to 20 kilometers per hour with a few gusts between 20 and 30. Warm night for the Maritime region with most low temperatures in the range of around 11 to 16 degrees. Highs in the forecast for tomorrow in the north of New Brunswick, high 20s, low 30s, including 31 at Miramichi and 28 at Grand Falls. 30 at Edmundston. Central and southern areas of New Brunswick for tomorrow. It's going to be near 30 for St. Stephen, Fredericton, McAdam. 26 for St. John, a little bit more moderate there, being close to the Bay of Fundy coastline. And Moncton, hot, high temperature near 29 degrees. Hot for Prince Edward Island. Most communities 27 to 29, though a few on the coast closer to 26. And then for eastern areas of Nova Scotia and Cape Breton for tomorrow, it's mostly mid to high 20s. High 20s around the north shore of the province. On the eastern shore, right on the coastline, 24 to 27 degrees. Amherst near 27 for tomorrow, 29 for Truro. City centers, Halifax and Dartmouth, close to 26 for that onshore southwest wind. They feel that a little bit more at Lunenburg, so there the high temperature near 24, but 26 for Bridgewater, 24 for Yarmouth in the forecast, and it's going to be hot for the Annapolis Valley in Nova Scotia with high temperatures near 28. And the heat doesn't stop there. It actually increases into the start of next week. So hot, a haze possible for New Brunswick on Sunday. On Monday, a lot of high temperatures away from coastal areas come up into the low 30s. Low 30s expected on Tuesday. It's sunny, low chance of showers right now Wednesday and Thursday of next week. And then after that, Friday, a mix of sun and cloud, temperatures coming down a few degrees. Lots of heat in the forecast for Nova Scotia as well, away from the Atlantic coastline. High temperatures, high 20s, low 30s, end of the weekend and really through the start of next week. On parts of the Atlantic coastline, mid to high 20s. Wednesday looks like it's going to be dry, mix of sun and cloud. Same thing goes for Thursday, and then low chance of showers on Friday of next week. And again, we're looking for more than showers. We need a couple significant rain systems. Prince Edward Island in the forecast coming up on Sunday. It's hot and hazy, high near 29 degrees. Heat continues for Monday, high near 31, up to 31 as well on Tuesday with a mix of sun and cloud. High 20s, low 30s look likely on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. And then we have a chance of some showers on Friday, Jesse.
All right, some high temperatures there, Kalen. Thanks a lot for that. We'll check in with you later for wake-up weather. Next, we'll talk with an animal expert on rescues they've been seeing this year. And we have this story coming up on The Scene.
I'm Katie Kelly. Tonight on The Scene, she's up for 2 CCMA awards and just dropped a brand new single. I chat with country star Scotia about her big year and what's next coming up.
Okay, so have a great weekend and join us Monday morning as the Virgin Radio Vault is back.
Get your first clues with us at 6:10 and 8:10.
Plus your shot at $100 in groceries. Good luck.
And it's that time of year when we often hear of marine life, like dolphins and different whale species being stranded on beaches and water's edges in our region, which has some amazing high and low tides here, obviously. Yesterday, for instance, DFO, along with Marine Animal Response Society, helped free a pilot whale stuck in a riverbank near Sydney. To talk about that is joining us tonight. We've reached the executive director of MARS, Tanya Wimmer. She assisted in freeing this pilot whale. Tanya, how did the situation come about yesterday?
Oh, yeah, that was, it's a bit of a crazy situation. The pilot whale was a younger animal and found itself way back in the Sydney River and had been there for a day or so. And Fisheries and Oceans tried to sort of herd and corral it and encourage it to go back out the river, but that didn't work. So yesterday we were en route, aiming to get there and work with DFO. They were able to get their hands on it and put it into what's called a whale rescue pontoon. And then we worked together to take it as far out as we could and then released it.
It's incredible work you and your organization do, but I'm wondering, how often does something like this happen? It seems like recently it's been happening more and more around here.
Yeah, I mean, Mars is 26 years old now. We've started out a long time ago, and every year we get calls about animals that are in trouble on our shorelines or in rivers or entrapped in some other way. And so this is actually a fairly regular occurrence through the summer months. It just always depends on the when and the where and sort of the circumstances of what's going on as to the specifics of one animal versus many.
Yeah. Does it feel like it's happening more, or are we just maybe seeing about it more? People are documenting it, you know, as they see the stuff happening with their cell phones that we all have on ourselves.
Yeah, I think it's probably a little bit of both. I mean, the other thing too is, I mean, this is part of the long-term research that we're actually doing is through the compilation of all of this information and looking at it over time, trying to see if there's any patterns or any upticks. And as you said, though, too, the other thing is we have more people out on water, on beaches, and they also have access to cameras in their phones and things like social media. So the word gets out pretty quick.
Yeah, and when we see those videos online, I mean, they're incredible. There was one earlier, I think it was earlier this week in Canning, Nova Scotia, where there was a group that came in to rescue a pod of dolphins, and I know you guys became involved in that. But talk about that situation, what you saw there.
Yeah, that one was particularly challenging because it was a group of, in the end, it was 13 Atlantic white-sided dolphins that found themselves way up one of the rivers at the back of the Minas Basin. And anyone who's in that area knows about those big tides in the Bay of Fundy. And especially in this area, it's an area that's really filled with sort of thick, soupy mud and a really deep incline down to where these dolphins were. And the dolphins had found themselves trapped as the tide went out. They were probably just following fish. There's a lot of fish and bait in the area. And they basically just got stuck in the mud. And so we got the report, we're en route, but even then, members of the public took it upon themselves to go into that really dangerous mud to try to be able to at least help the animals.
Some incredible images that we saw there as we're chatting. I wanted to ask you about how maybe some of these animals come to be stranded, but let's go back, because I know there's a lot of community members and there's an effort there in the community to get out and perhaps save these this pod of dolphins, the 13 that you mentioned. But you know, when someone comes across stranded marine animals, say on maritime beaches, what should they do first?
The first thing they should do is call our toll-free hotline. So Mars operates a toll-free hotline. It's 1-866-567-6277. And if they call us immediately, we can really do an assessment based on the species, the location. Also, we have an understanding of what resources are around us, our own and with other partners like Fisheries and Oceans. And the big thing is really is if people do make that phone call, because the reality of what we're dealing with are animals that are in unpredictable situations, and sometimes they're also in very dangerous situations.
Yeah.
So we just don't want people to put themselves in harm's way or do things that could really hurt the animal.
I wanted to ask you about that. People, loving these amazing creatures, wanting to do the right thing, but how dangerous could it be for, say, someone who doesn't have the proper training and gets themselves into these waters or in these, muddy shorelines? Should people be doing this kind of stuff in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, this is really one of the issues that Mars has been grappling with for many years. And the reality is that it is extremely dangerous for people. Both those circumstances, that mud is incredibly dangerous. People were up to their waist, some up even higher. Yeah. You can get stuck. The tide is turning. We've had people even earlier this week as well. We're pushing back in a very large animal down by Guysborough. It was a big whale, and the animal starts thrashing. So the big thing here is that there are dangerous circumstances for the humans if they're not prepared and if they're not properly trained and equipped. And then it can be very dangerous for animals if people do things like pulling on their tail or putting water in the blowhole.
Yeah,
so
sure.
One of the things we've been trying to do for a long time has actually been to build up our volunteer network across the Maritime provinces. And that's to make sure that people are educated and trained. And it's unfortunately something we've been trying to get funding for a long time from our federal government, and it's been turned down to date.
Do we know, I mean, there's so many different waterways and scenarios, but Tanya, do we know what leads to some of these mammals becoming trapped in the first place? Are they getting lost or confused, or maybe are they sick at times?
It's a little bit of all of those, and it differs between the different situations. With the dolphins, we saw it was very likely animals that were following food, and there were fish, they eat fish too, so they were just going up following it, got caught out when the tide went down. In other circumstances, like the whale that we had earlier this week over in Guysborough, it was a very large whale, kind of an unusual area for it to be in, and it was quite thin. Our little pilot whale in Cape Breton that we helped release yesterday, we're not quite sure. It was a smaller animal, could have gotten distracted and separated from the pod, or maybe it was ill. So it's a combination of potentially anything at that point.
Right. Yeah, well, we love to hear the stories when the rescues go well, and I know it's dangerous but incredible work you do, and we love following along, but we'll have to kind of wrap our conversation up now for time, Tanya, but I want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Appreciate the time.
And have a safe summer. That's Tanya Wimmer. She's the Executive Director of the Marine Animal Response Society. We've got plenty of more news on the other side of this break. Stay with us. And in the Lifeline tonight, how Canada could lose its measles elimination status. CTV's Amanda Debison has more.
Canada is at risk of losing its measles elimination status as an outbreak of the virus continues to spread.
So measles elimination is defined by the World Health Organization, and it means that within a certain geographical area, in this case Canada, that there is no sustained transmission of measles over a 12-month period.
Measles had been considered eliminated in Canada as of 1998, meaning there was no sustained measles transmission over 12 consecutive months. But since an outbreak which started in New Brunswick last year, the country has seen an average of 91 cases annually. So far, measles cases have been reported in every province and territory except Nunavut, Yukon, and Newfoundland and Labrador. Experts say Canada could lose its measles elimination status as early as this fall, and adds public health vaccination efforts must continue. A new study suggests kids and young adults who spend too much time staring at screens have a greater chance of developing cardiovascular diseases. Danish researchers tracked the screen and sleep habits of more than 1,010 and 18-year-olds. They found that those who spent excessive hours in front of electronic devices were at higher risk for health issues such as high blood pressure and high cholesterol, as well as diabetes and insulin resistance. Their analysis found each additional hour of daily screen time increased the risk of disease. Even though the numbers have improved in recent years, a new report finds Americans are getting more than half of their calories from ultra-processed foods. The report comes from the U.S. Center for Disease Control. Experts say calories from ultra-processed foods add up quickly because they taste good and are dense, with a large amount of calories in a small amount of food. They recommend adding in more whole foods whenever possible. Finally, Health Canada is recalling a brand of wearable sun visors with built-in fans over potential fire risks. The Chatties brand visors were sold at Giant Tiger stores between May and June. Health Canada warns the charging cord could cause burns or a fire when plugged in. 3 incidents have been reported in this country, but no injuries. Nearly 900 of the visors were sold. Customers are being advised to stop using them and return them for a full refund. With Health and Medical News, I'm Amanda Debison for the Lifeline.
And like that, we're on the scene with Katie Kelly tonight in the studio. You're featuring a rising country star tonight,
Yes,
Katie?
yes. So Sasha was in the Maritimes recently, and we had a great chat about what she's been up to.
Hey, Mama, made it. Are you talking about being famous? Do you remember all those times you prayed when I strayed? Well, I finally found my way.
From small town Ontario to the national stage, Sasha's star is on the rise. She's a platinum certified hitmaker, and she's toured alongside some of the biggest names in country music.
I wish I could be as fearless as that woman in the mirrors.
This year, she's celebrating another milestone, earning 3 Canadian Country Music Award nominations, including Female Artist of the Year.
I can't wait. Yeah, this is going to be in Kelowna. I'm really honored. Like, this is just, it's just good news, a good week.
'Cause we were a shooting star, couple of burning hearts, thinking we'd always be that high.
And she'll also take the stage during the live broadcast to perform her brand new song with Restless Road.
Okay, so the song is Shooting Star. Wrote it with them like just only a few months ago in Nashville. And next thing you know, we're recording it, and now we're performing it at CCMA. So it's just basically about, it's kind of like an anthemic summer song, you know, how fast you can fall in love, but how fast it can fizzle out like Shooting Star.
For someone who hasn't seen you perform live yet, what is a Sasha show like?
I love to just entertain. I love to be energetic. I do like to get into the deep side as well. I just released my album called Woman in the Mirror, so that was more pulling back the curtain and showing you more of my vulnerable side and the story, you know, of my life, really. And but for the most part, I like high energy, high pace. I like to have people sing along, so we'll throw covers in there too. If you don't know who I am, you know, it's kind of nice to just kind of warm up the crowd with some songs people know.
The Canadian Country Music Awards air September 13th on CTV. And you can also find Sasha's new single, Shooting Star, along with the rest of her music on all streaming platforms.
We were a shooting star, now I'm just wishing on one tonight.
I'm so looking forward to this year's CCMAs. We have a couple locals in the running this year,
Okay.
which is really cool.
I'm getting into country music nowadays as well.
Are you? You
like a lot of people.
weren't before?
Well, old country, but yeah, I know it's
Fair enough.
It's changed.
Yeah, awesome. I can't wait for YQM Country Fest, which we're going to talk more about that in a minute.
Right on.
But
Okay.
first,
yeah, some exciting news for fans of Sunnyvale.
yes, the rumors are true. The Trailer Park Boys are officially back.
Why is my trailer pink? Slade changed Sunnyvale Trailer Park into a retirement community for old people. Grab your buds.
Production has just wrapped on season 13 of the iconic Canadian comedy. A brand new 10-episode season will be dropping in April of 2026, just in time for the show's 25th anniversary. Bubbles, Ricky, and Julian are back in action along with a star-studded cast of returning favorites and fresh faces as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. Exciting times.
Yes.
Now for a high-energy, mind-blowing experience of wonder and awakening. What's
That's
that
right.
about?
Yes, yes. Atlantic Canada's own Jason Cyrus is returning this fall with his hit show Beyond Limits.
Sage, what was your name? What's that?
The tour kicks off September 20th in Halifax and hits St. John, Moncton, Miramichi, and Windsor through November. With packed-out venues and rave reviews across the country, this is more than a show. It's a transformational night you will never forget. Tickets are on sale now.
All right, and we have a winner, Katie?
Yes, we sure do, for the CTV and YQM Country Fest Country in the City contest. Some of the biggest names in country music are headed for Dieppe, New Brunswick this summer. Kane Brown, Jelly Roll, Luke Bryan, and many more will hit the stage at the YQM Country Fest from August 21st to 23rd. One lucky viewer is about to win a YQM Country Fest prize package, which includes 4 VIP tickets, 3 nights at Delta Hotels Beau Séjour in Moncton, and a $200 St. James Gate gift certificate, plus $100 to Shell. The winner for the YQM Country in the City contest is...
Drum roll here.
Carolyn Vaughn of Fletcher's Lake, Nova Scotia. Get ready to party. We're going to YQM, Carolyn. Can't wait to meet you. It's going to be a weekend to remember, that's for sure.
Awesome. Congratulations, Carolyn.
Awesome. Well, that's it for the scene tonight, Jesse.
Great. And you're on vacation now?
Yes, I won't be back for a week.
Well-deserved.
I'll see you then.
Enjoy it, Katie.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's take a look at tonight's prime time lineup now.
Mornings with Aaron and Peter.
60 seconds, 10 questions. If you can pull that off, you're going to win $1,000.
Join us every weekday at 7 a.m. for the $1,000 minute.
All right, I'm inside, and Kaylin, you're outside. That must mean it's wake-up weather, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's pretty pleasant out here this evening. It's warm. There's just a little bit of a breeze, slight tinge, slight haze to the sky, and that's likely to be around at times for this weekend. Let's take a look at our viewer picture for tonight. So there's a big men's baseball tournament ongoing right now in the Halifax, Dartmouth area. U22 National Championships. This picture was from the Home Run Derby in Dartmouth on Wednesday, sent in from Bob Pettipaw. I want to thank Bob very much for taking the time, sent in this great picture, and he called this one Shooting for the Moon, and that is the moon in the background there as that batter takes a big swing. Dartmouth for tomorrow. Looking at mostly sunny day except for haze and high temperature near the city center, 26 degrees. But the further you get away from the waterfront around the Halifax, Dartmouth area, those temperatures are going to be coming up close to 28, 29 degrees. Day planner for tomorrow around all 3 maritime provinces. Should be a mostly sunny and mild start. Again, this thin high haze will be present for some areas and around throughout the day on Saturday. The afternoon is going to be hot and dry. A lot of high temperatures away from coastal areas, headed up into the high 20s and low 30s. On parts of the coast, especially the Bay of Fundy coastline in New Brunswick and the Atlantic coastline of Nova Scotia, high temperatures topping out closer towards the mid-20s. Light southwest wind for tomorrow. May have a few occasional gusts between 20 and 30 kilometers per hour. Let's find out what's coming up next week on CTV Morning Live.
Monday on CTV Morning Live, Ask the Expert. We'll head to Truro to meet up with our partners at English Jewelers to see what goes into restoring one-of-a-kind keepsakes. News, weather, and more. It's everything you need. CTV Morning Live, Monday.
All right, finally tonight, using goats to help mitigate wildfire risk. And some goats are being put to work in Spain's northeastern Catalonia region. The herd is wandering from town to town as part of a pilot project to mitigate the risk of wildfires in Catalonia last year. Despite being in the 3rd year of the worst drought in a century, the number of wildfire outbreaks decreased. And the regional government, with the regional government attributing this to the decline of the improved prevention of fire measures. Okay, all right. Now, the goats are obviously just one part of that, right? Now, goats, they say they're ideal for clearing brush and other combustible materials to create natural fire breaks. And they're really cute too, aren't they? All right, that is your show for tonight. If you missed it, we'll run it again in a moment on CTV2. And CTVNewsAtlantic.ca is always updating with the latest news. I'm sticking around here. I'll have your next newscast at 11:30 tonight. But now we leave you with some scenes from Lunenburg Harbor and from the Blue Nose 2. Thanks for watching. Have a great night, everybody.
CTV News, the Maritime's #1 newscast.